The Digimon card game is my favorite TCG. Whether it's running a deck of your favorite character, playing the best deck in the room to try and win, or just simply throwing some bulk together to have fun, there is something here for everybody. I myself somewhat competitively play, and after I qualified for nationals at a store regional, I figured I'd take the rest of the year to do a little challenge. I'll be starting out with 2 copies of the Fabled Waltz structure deck, and each week give myself $25 to spend on sealed product to hopefully make my deck better. No purchasing singles, no trading cards with friends, just me and hopefully some good cards that I need. Let's see just how far this deck can take me. Welcome to Sealed Only Digimon. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Sealed Only Digimon. Last week we didn't do as well as we have been. We went 1 and 2. The last round being against Volcanic Turbo, more or less is what it felt like. Just really sealed the deal. We can't play into that very well. And then against Hunters, we put up a good fight, but we're really looking to bump up our top end. So we're going back into EX9, hoping to pull some Kaguyas, and if we can pull some more Karakurus on the way, that's more than fine. Before we get into our EX9 pulls, however, this is my entry pack that I had gotten for playing. It's a Demi Vmon. Very cool. Not going to be playing it in the series, but it's nice for me to have in case I ever come into a fortune and can purchase the arenas to play Digimon. And my pity pack was this Machine Germon from the Dash pack, which is very cool. Again, not going to be on it, but it is nice to have. Our pity packs for it are just, our LGS just has a ton of promotional packs that they've gotten over the years. And that's just what we got. So we have 6 packs of EX9. Let's go ahead and just kind of go on through this. Like I had said, main things that we're looking for here are Kaguya, and if we get another couple of Karakuru, that's perfect. Personally, I would like some more Chimeras for myself, but we'll have to see. We have Eismon, Parasurmon, Koromon, Eismon Scatter Mode, Gizamon, I should say, Pagumon, Soundbirdmon, Sukamon, Andromon, Airdramon. High Andro Ace is a contention, is a thought that we can actually be able to play this card. Just because it is removal, and it does technically reset our Shushus if we need them to be, the ones that could be put into security, which is very funny. And then it gives protection barrier to itself, which is not bad. I don't know, like, I was just saying how we kind of want better 6s, so there is a chance that this goes in there. And our last card is another Digitalmamon. I'll put it to the side. It probably won't make its way in, but it kind of does read a little bit better than Shinmonze does right now. So this is a possibility. Let's go ahead and go to our next pack. It opened a lot nicer for us. Just threw that across the room. We have an Ogremon, a Unimon, a Dark Tyrannomon, a 3rd Hanimon, which is great. I don't think I'm going to be on it, but having it is better than not. Kunemon, Elecmon, Toropiamon, Biomon, Numemon, Protein, X-Tyrannomon, and Tai and Matt. This card I don't ever think will see the light of day for us. I think it is a fine card if you're playing it, but in like the decks that it's meant for, but for us it doesn't do much. Next up, pack number 3. Anything good in here? Devidramon, Tokomon, Tuskmon, Pagumon, Pomumon, Soundbirdmon, Gizamon, File Island, Gabumon, Negamon. Edamon is a good card. I don't know if we're ever going to be on Ver 3, though with the Hyandromon, I guess it's technically better, but again, it is also a puppet, technically. Again, we don't have enough stuff for Facedown Digivolve cards, so it won't come up. And our last card in this card pack is the alt art for the Metal Mamemon. Very, very pretty card. It's a solid card overall. We will not be playing it. I do not believe that we have any way to play this card, but it is very pretty to look at. Does feel bad to see an alt art that isn't the Kaguya, because the Kaguya, just looking at the games and kind of talking about them like I did last week, it would just be better if we just had like 1 or 2 Kaguyas. Like it is crazy just how much better that deck will feel if and when that happens for us. All right, pack number 4. We have Pagumon, Tokomon, Tuskmon, Soundbirdmon, Pomumon, Gizamon, Koromon, Betamon, Devimon, Numemon, Taikamiya, and Blitzgreymon Ace. Nothing really to talk about there. Pack number 5. Another Kokeshi, which we are unfortunately at this point drowning in. We don't need as much. Ogremon, Parasaurmon, Kunemon, Unimon. My camera was bouncy. Sorry about that. Eismon Scatter Mode, Tanemon, Kuwagamon, Airdramon, Protein, a second Skullgreymon is not bad at all, and Mamemon. If we're ever able to pull into stuff for more DM oriented, that'd be great, but until then, we will have to see. Our last pack. Hopefully we can open up something that will be usable. I don't even know if I'm going to run the third Hanimon. It might be better than the Pawn Chesses, but we will have to see. I don't think it will be. Dark Tyrannomon, Palmon, Eismon Scatter Mode, Kunemon, Ogremon, Pomumon, Foil Border Pagumon, not bad at all, not too shabby, not too shabby. Greymon, Patamon, Gazimon, Ty and Matt, and our last card for this opening is a Metal Tyrannomon. I'm gonna be real with you guys, like we got 2 cards, 1 super and 1 alt, but neither of these are gonna be played. We might play High Andromon Ace, just to have another body in case we end up on another 5 situation. Like having this is solid. I don't know. I think our deck list is going to stay largely unchanged. We might add these 2 cards, but for now we will add these to our ever-growing pile of DM level 5s that will never see the light of day, and we'll go from there. I'll see you guys in the deck list update if there is one. Hey everybody, I'm throwing it back over to myself for a video review, and as you can tell, my face is taking up the whole screen. You might be thinking, why are we doing this? Are there no changes? And the answer to that question is no. There are 2 main reasons for that. The first reason is that I couldn't remember anything interesting from my polls. There was 1 card that could have been something, perhaps, in the Edamon, but I didn't have any sort of face down synergies and I didn't want to change anything. The other reason is I really wanted to do a litmus test to see exactly what I need for my deck. I really think that the things that I currently need are top end more than anything and better removal. And so I wanted to see, we had a couple more people come out. We actually had 4 rounds this week. So I wanted to see just if that assumption was correct, and it was. Let's go ahead and hop into the games. Our first game here, we're up against Rapidmon, Gargamon, the whole Terriermon line stuff. And this deck is extremely scary still, especially for my deck. If they're able to stick on a Mega Gargo or anything, I kind of just lose on the spot. The removal is just that much better. We're both taking it slow. I'm playing out a Tamer and a Training, which is kind of where I want to be. They play out the Terriermon that searches 5s, hits 1 hit, and then Digivolves into a Black Gargo in the back. I'm kind of just, in this matchup, I'm wanting to play Removal Central. I use my Kokeshi to discard a card. I use Mirai after I Digivolve to play a Pawn Chest to pitch 1, draw 2, and then I play a Memory Boost. I also have Inherited Reboot. Sorry about the glare this week. I think there was something on my camera lens that was messing everything up. They swing with Black Gargo. They don't have anything to evolve into, unfortunately, even though they do alliance with the Terriermon. But they Digivolve their Terriermon Assistant into a Rapidmon Gold, the one that wants to suspend to do anything. So I go ahead and give it -12. They ask if they can Armor Purge. I say yes, but the Terriermon itself still has -12,000 TP, so it ends up dying. I pay 5 memory, I attack with both my Mons, and they go ahead and hard slam my Rapidmon. Anything that has Rapidmon in its name, I am terrified to attack into. I do not want to get hit by Mega Gargomon, because I think that's just how I lose. We go ahead and go into Kokeshi for 2. Digivolve the other one into a Tobucat into Karakuru, delete the Kokeshi to delete my Kokeshi to DP minus by another 4,000 into Karakuru, Digivolving into Central banking 2 tokens, and then I'm attacking. My opponent hard drops a Mega Gargomon, and I don't think it's going to be enough. We go to my turn, I go ahead and head up to 6, I play Chaperonemon for 7. After some other DP minuses, I'm able to take the game. Tried a little bit slower on the recording, but I don't know how well it's working. It's going to take some practice for me not to be able to live commentary. My opponent Digivolves into the Structure Deck Gargamon and then drops a double Typhoon, hitting some cards, picking up some a couple of cards. I hit them a Henry out of security, so now they have a memory setter the entire rest of the day. They use Double Typhoon to play a free rookie, and then they Digivolve their Black Gargomon into, or their Terriermon into a Black Gargomon that they play off the Double Typhoon. They attack with the Gargomon from the structure deck, however, not having Alliance and not being able to capitalize fully off of it. I had one Digimon left over, so I go ahead and do the Karakuru into Centralmon combo. I attack with Overclock without suspending. I use a -3000 to pop one of their bodies. I can tell that they're kind of behind on some stuff. They use Black Gargo to attack for 2 checks. I go ahead and decide to block here because they're exactly at 11, and I choose to barrier. This does save me 1 security and does out the body of the Black Gargo, which feels incredibly powerful. I go ahead and go to my turn. I walk my Sendril over their body. Again, I do not want them to be able to stick anything that can Digivolve into a Mega Gargomon. And here you just see me doing some searching with a couple of the Shumons. I sacrifice one of the Shumons to overclock my opponents at 1 memory. They play a Giant Missile, bottom deck my Sendril, suspend my Shumon, but it's not enough. I am able to go into Kokeshi on the Shumon. I'm able to give -4, and then I go Chaperomon to give it the remaining -6, and then I am able to attack and Digivolve into Central and win for game. Game 1 goes to us. I feel incredibly good about that. The removal, again, was coming in very handy against these smaller bodies, but let's see how we do against things that have slightly larger DPs and are able to get to them a little bit faster. All right, game 2 here is going to be against Serious Mod, Gamamon toolbox stuff. And this matchup, I did not realize going into it just how hard this was going to be. They're able to just recur so much easily, and their level 4s are at 6,000 DP. Why they are so large, I have no idea, but it does require me to Digivolve into Kokeshi to be able to DP minus them and then walk over. You'll see throughout this set that my biggest problem is my inability to properly go over anything. And they're really good access to general removal. They pass me over. I just start setting up in the back as best as I can, trying to low pass. The messed up thing about Gamamon is that they just build up memory anyway. I passed them to 1, and then they're able to go into a second level 5. Here you see me trying to figure out what all these cards do, and just, they say anything. If I attempt to remove either of them, I am just screwed again. Then I go into a Kokeshi into Chaperone, give DP minus. He goes ahead and activates some effect. I go ahead and Wonder Stomp out another body, Digivolve into Central, leave 2 bodies, pop one of them to pop the Central, or to pop the Regulus. The Regulus plays out, not Betelgeuse, but goes ahead and floats into a body and then is able to evolve up into another Regulusmon, and then I am forced to collision. I go ahead and barrier to survive, and they go ahead and spit out another body to this time go into the Canawise mod. Canawise is able to do some stuff, and I set them to 2, and then they attack. They hit my Shushu. I go ahead and play another Shoto, I believe, off of it. Either the Shoto or the Mirai, I'm not sure. And then they Digivolve. I am reading what this card does because I don't know, but I think the gist is that if I delete it, they get a float again, and he has 1 inherited float effect as well. This deck is taking advantage of the thing that I have, which is a lack of solid wide removal. My single target removal is pretty solid, but my top end removal is really bad. I just decide that I have to start attacking security, but I don't think it's enough. So what I do here is I go ahead and hard play something for 4, and then I Digivolve for 3, put Mirai on bottom, play a Shumon, into the Karakurumon, Digivolve into Karakurumon, play a Shumon, pop the Shumon, go into another Sendril, make 2 more tokens, and now I have 2 Sendrils, one of which is a blocker, and the other token is a blocker as well off the Shoto. I set them to 3 memory, which I hoped was going to be fine, but it isn't. They're able to just build up enough memory and everything, and I give something -3, they add the Regulus, they go into Sirius. Sirius's effect is going to allow them to pop it. I'm going to choose to protect it with the Karakuru effect, and then they're going to go ahead and just walk through me anyway. I lose game 1, and I don't think game 2 is going to go much better at this point. I am reading all of the removal that I have access to, and it's not particularly good. I start off my first turn, and I play a physical training, and I don't hit a rookie. I play a yellow memory boost. I draw into a rookie for turn in the pawn chest, but I go ahead and play a yellow memory boost to see if I have anything else going on, and I really don't. So I go ahead and Digivolve into the pawn chest in the back for 1. I play the yellow memory boost, and then I go ahead and promote a little bit early again, trying to stem off any sort of bleeding because my opponent does have a level 5 out already. And I'm like, okay, cool, Karakurumon, hopefully they aren't able to go out wide, and then they played out both bodies. So I am just very much in a bad situation. They go ahead and pop my bodies, and then they are able to Digivolve into Canawise, pop my last body. I can't even give it -4 because it doesn't do anything. It wouldn't have done anything there because he trashed security. He's going to attack with his Seriousmon for a couple of checks on my next turn, but I have to build up and hope it's not lethal, but I forgot he had Sec +1, and then I he does hit a Noble Family Art, so I am able to give -12 to the Gamamon, but he digivolves into Proximamon. Proximamon doesn't have lethal here, but I can't out it. I have a 1, and I have a couple of guys. I try here, and I kind of just scramble around. I digivolve for 2 into a Shushu. I play out a Shumon, searching for a Karakuru and a Hanimon, and it's like I could theoretically play the combo, but I just didn't have enough in the back. I go into Central for free. Since I deleted something on my board was deleted, he gets to play out his Gamamon, but I cannot walk over it. Overclock showing its fact that it cannot attack into Digimon is proving to be extremely, extremely difficult to climb up. With that, I go ahead and start my day off at 1-1 overall. Let's see if our next match is any better. So about that next match being better, this is against Magna X. What do you want me to do? Magna X is just going to set up extremely well. If my opponent gets out Magna X at any point, there is absolutely nothing my deck can do. All of my DP minus is for the turn. So even if I was able to give it -12, even if I was theoretically able to give it -12, I should say, it has 13k because of the egg. So my opponent here pretty early on goes into a couple of Magnas. They're able to use Digi Armor, Energize, or whichever one it is, and then they're able to float into the DP plus Magna and then go into Magna X on top of it. I'm able to go into all of my stuff, and my current goal here is I gave one of the tokens Rush, I attack with it to see if I want to make an attack. I ended up not doing it. I hard drop a Kokeshi for 4. If my opponent attacks, I am able to I am able to block and then use one of my tokens to give it DP minus. They end up living. They do ask me, they're like, do I live? And I say yes, because I gave you the DP minus after, and then there's Omni X. So they're going to bottom deck my Kokeshi, they're going to walk into my Central with Omni X, and I'm just playing through the motions. There's nothing that I can do here. They start going off, they're able to attack into my security again, and then end of game, and then that's just it. What do you want me to do? Game 2 is... I'm going to be a bit of a spoiler here. It's going to go the exact same way. My opponent hits a second turn to Magna X, and there is just not that I am able to do. My opponent walks into my Digimon. I am thinking about if I want to save it in any capacity. I opted not to. My opponent goes into a Magna because we end up trading, so they're able to Digivolve into their Magna for free, and then they Awakening the Golden Knight. I play Physical Training. I play Hanimon in the back. I play a Shoto. It's just... I think I'm okay, and then they Fire Rocket me. They do 2 checks, they unsuspend, they do 2 checks, and they go Omni X, and that is just game. That was a turn 3 kill with Magna X. Glad to see it still doing incredibly strong. I now understand why people are upset about that card. I don't think it's a problem, but man, if I was only playing these kinds of decks that didn't have solid outs to it, I would also be pretty mad. But that's the whole point of this challenge, right? I'm trying to see how well I can do with the cards that I open, and this is where we are. All right, for game 4, this is going to be a little bit of a doozy. This is against Galacticmon, and my deck, I wouldn't say is control. I wouldn't say my deck is much of anything, but it has control tendencies. My opponent's going to promote, and they're going to just do galactic things. I don't have the mental bandwidth to explain everything. This game is about 6 minutes. I think the last 2 games combined were about 6 minutes total, so we're going to be here for a bit. My opponent is going to do everything in their power to do as much as they can. I go ahead and try to remove a Vemmon. I Noble Family Art's the last one because it's at 6k. He did not have enough sources in the Snatchmon, so my opponent is at nothing on board. So they drop another Vemmon, and then they go ahead, look at their hand, figure out how many things they have off. They have all their Vemmons in their trash off to the side to remember it. They Digivolve into a Snatchmon for 2 with the Scramble, and then they go ahead and slot a couple of sources underneath. I attack with a Shushumon, and then I Digivolve for 1 in the back because I have nothing else, and then I play my Setter. They go ahead and promote their Vemmon. Vemmon reveals, hits 1 Vemmon, and then I believe trashes a card, or grabs a card as well off of this one. My opponent is sitting here and kind of thinking about what to do. They go into Promo Destro, and that deletes my Setter, which is pretty fantastic. I am explaining what they both do, and obviously he goes for the Setter. My Shushumon does nothing on board. I go ahead and draw for turn. I'm thinking if I want to promote, I don't see a reason to do it. I go ahead and Wonder Stomp into my Shumon, and then I go ahead and walk over their thing, and then I go ahead and play out a Mirai. I have 2 bodies here. I am missing a 5. Even if I had a 5, I don't know if this is a fantastic position to put it into. Again, my best way of removing bigger bodies is to walk into them, and Galactic being at 14 makes that really hard, especially with the Sumemon. The Sumemon bringing it up to 17 means that I have all but no recourse to be able to properly out it. So that's a bit of a bummer, but what can you do? My opponent is just setting up. They Ragnarok Cannon out my Shumon. I go ahead and attack into their security. I hit another Zenith after they've played 1. They have a Ragnarok Cannon in play. I play a Physical Training, grabbing the Chaperone that I've been missing this whole time. I go ahead and play the Kokeshi for 4, and then to be able to threaten my opponent to delete one of their bodies at start of main. I believe here, actually, it seems that we forget to trigger the Galacticmon effect, which is a little bit of a bummer. But they go ahead and attack with the Galacticmon, trashing the Ragnarok Cannon to delete it. I go ahead and trash a card in my hand to give -4 to the Snatchmon. They hit a Chaperone on security, so it's fine. They sit here for a couple minutes trying to figure out what their best play is. They go ahead and fusionize for free since they have a Snatchmon. They add one, and then they Digivolve into the Destro, reducing the cost by 4, or by 5, and then they delete my Mirai and my Shoto. My stronger pieces in general right now are my Tamers, and so the fact that Promo Destro is able to delete them is tough for me. And then he goes into a second Galactic, adding 4 cards underneath it. Here's when I inform him that he gets to add any card with Vemmon in text. So he had not been adding the Sumimons up to this point all day because he did not realize that. So I tell him, and then I make it even harder for myself to get through, but I would rather him be confident in it for the future. I go ahead and attack with Chaperone into security. I give -3 to something. I hit a Fusionize. I don't even remember what it does. I think he can play a card if he wants to, but he is running so low on deck space he doesn't want to have to do that. He's not opting to stop any of my attacks or anything. He turns sideways. I realize there's something I can do, and I go ahead and concede. Game 2 starts off. I Digivolve into a Junkmon in the back, play a physical training, pick up a card. I promote Junkmon, go into Kokeshi, discard a Dogimon, give -4 to the Snatchmon that he hard played. My opponent's a little bit gummed up, but I go ahead and Digivolve into that, and then I play a Wonder Stomp, drawing a card, hitting nothing, and then I play a Yellow Memory Boost, picking up a Sendromon. My opponent started mains with the Vemmon. They go ahead and pick up a card in bottom deck 2. They hit no Vemmons, which is unfortunate for them, but they Fusionize into a Vemmon, and then they Digivolve into Destro to delete my Kokeshimon. My camera gets bumped, but the Kokeshimon is able to give -4 to their Vemmon they have sticking around. As long as I can take off their advantage piece, maybe I can stay in this game. I have no rookies in my hand, no, they had not passed the turn yet. They go ahead and just go into Galactic with the Yellow Scramble, or Black Scramble, which makes sense to me. I go ahead and hard drop the Kokeshi, again, to do something. I Digivolve into a third Kokeshi in the back. I'm Kokeshi'd out of my mind. And then I go ahead and just start Digivolving up the back because I know my best chance into this is just going into a Central on the back. They hit my security. There's a Shoto. I do have a Shoto, which is pretty solid, but I do know that my best way into this is to be able to walk over things. I go to 4 memory at start of main. I physical training into my Sendromon for a cost of 1, and here I have to figure out how I'm going to be able to properly out this Galactic, and there is not a way. I attack into security. I hit a something. I go ahead and play upon Chessmon. I use it to overclock. I give blocker to one of my tokens, and then I am about to die in security, but I use the protected effect for my 5s to delete one of my pawn chesses instead. It goes to my turn, start of main. He blows up my pawn Chessmon. He attacks. He uses Ragnarok Cannon. He deletes my thing with the lowest DP, but since I already tried to protect Central this turn, I just go ahead and let it die. I do have a blocker, so that way I can save off anything else. And then my opponent plays 3, reveals 3, hits a Vemmon, and then does not have the memory to do anything with the Vemmon. I go ahead and attack into security. He chooses to redirect. I go ahead and opt to give the -3 to his remaining Vemmon, and then I start building up in the back as well as playing a Mirai. I know that this thing can die at possibly any second, but I do need it on board just to do something. He attacks with his Galactic. Since he'd already used his Ragnarok Cannon, I felt pretty safe not playing any Digimon. He attacks with his Galactic. He hits another Shoto for me, so I will be going up to at a minimum of 3 memory, no matter how much he low passes me to, and then he goes Destro, and then he pops 2 of them, so I'm only going to 3. I go ahead and promote my Shumon. I do have 5 total memory to work with here. I go Chaperomon, give -3 to the Destro, and then I go ahead and walk the Chaperone in, and then I go ahead and Digivolve into Central for 3. Since he's going to 3 anyway, there's no point for me to use my memory boost. I attack with Central. I go ahead and overclock with one of them. He goes ahead and uses the effect to attempt to delete my Central because it's the only Digimon with a level. I used my protection effect, and then he plays out a Vemmon. Vemmon searches and grabs a piece, and he's sitting at 1. I mean, this is a board state where as long as I can draw a rookie, he doesn't have enough sources to do anything. I go ahead and just sit there. You can see my hands are there, and that's fine. He swings for my elastic. He digivolves me, but that's still enough. I play out a Handymon for free. I digivolve into another Central, and then I attack for game. That's 1-1, and you can see the game is over because we took the full 55 minutes for this set, ending 1-1. So I had my full day at 1-2-1. And honestly, it's getting tough. I mean, it really is so incredibly hard for me to properly explain and recognize how difficult this challenge is with my structured X Sendromons. This card itself is like fine. It's just the weakest link of my deck. My Karakurus and my Kokeshis together, everything, all of those together feel fantastic. But that's about where it ends. I just don't have anything else to do with them afterwards. The next episode that you guys are going to see next week is going to be me playing in BT22 pre-release because we're already there. I'm hoping that I can pull a couple of cards for puppets. My first pull the last time wasn't particularly great. It's going to be a little bit harder since there's the same number of cards in a larger card pool. I really would love nothing more than to pull a single Neon Boot. I think ideally I would have 2. I'm not going to hope for 2 in a pre-release, but a Neon Boot or 2 would help my top end problem so drastically. But yeah, I think that's everything I have today. Next week, you guys are going to see me playing in some more pre-release. So until then, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And if you want to like and subscribe, I would be super cool with that. Feel free to do that. If you don't want to, that's fine. Let me know in the comments what you think of the video. Let me know in the comments what you think I should open between BT22 and EX9. I'm leaning towards EX9 for those Kaguyamons, but I would love to hear what all you think. So thank you guys again so much. And until next time, go make somebody's day. See ya.